where the Nile flowed like the eternal breath of the gods, a child was born who would one day shape the destiny of an empire. His name was Thutmose. Born in Thebes around 1481 BC, Thutmose was the son of Pharaoh, Thutmose II, and a secondary wife named Iset. He was not the heir of royal blood through the great queen, and few could imagine that this quiet child would rise above them all, to become the greatest conqueror in the history of Egypt. When Thutmose's father died suddenly, the boy was far too young to rule. In the chaos of succession, his stepmother, the ambitious and intelligent Queen Hatshepsut, took power. But she did more than just rule in his name. She declared herself Pharaoh. Before the gods, she wore the royal beard, the kilt, and the crowns of Egypt. She built temples that rivaled eternity itself. And young Thutmose watched. While Hatshepsut reigned from her golden palace, Thutmose was raised among soldiers. He trained with the elite of the Egyptian army, learning to ride war chariots, to shoot an arrow through a copper plate, to command men with the voice of a lion. He studied strategy, astronomy, and the language of the gods. He was the prince with the patience of the hawk, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when the time came, he did. When Queen Hatshepsut passed into the afterlife, Thutmose seized the throne. He was no longer the forgotten child. He was Pharaoh of the two lands, and he had one vision: to restore Egypt's might across the known world. He reorganized the army, gathered his generals, and prepared for war. The age of peace was over. The age of conquest had begun. In his 22nd year, word reached Thebes of rebellion in the north. The princes of Canaan had gathered at a fortified city called Megiddo, a gateway to the lands of Syria and beyond. Many of his generals urged him to take the long, safe route through the valleys. But Thutmose refused. With the cunning of a falcon, he chose the narrow, dangerous mountain pass of Aruna. It was a gamble, one that could cost him everything. At dawn, his army descended upon the plains of Megiddo like a storm unleashed. The rebels were caught off guard. Panic spread through their ranks. The gates of Megiddo slammed shut, and the siege began. For 7 long months, the Pharaoh's men surrounded the city until, at last, the defenders bowed. The Battle of Megiddo became the first recorded battle in history. It marked the beginning of Egypt's golden age of empire. From that moment, Thutmose III became more than a king. He became a legend. He led 17 campaigns across Asia and Nubia. His chariots thundered through Palestine, Syria, and the lands beyond the Euphrates. From Babylon and Mitanni came tribute: gold, ivory, precious stones, exotic woods, lions, and leopards. No ruler in history had stretched Egypt's borders so far. He built fortresses, established trade routes, and filled the temples of Amun with unimaginable wealth. The world bowed before the pharaoh who called himself the Strong Bull, beloved of Ra. Thutmose was not only a conqueror, he was a man of vision and devotion. At Karnak Temple, he built great obelisks that reached toward the heavens. He expanded the sanctuary of Amun, adorning it with gold, silver, and carvings that told the story of his triumphs. He recorded his victories on the walls, in words that would echo through eternity. Even his enemies called him wise and just. He studied the stars, the sacred mathematics of the gods, and the rhythms of the Nile. He was a warrior philosopher, as feared in battle as he was revered in peace. Years passed. The young conqueror grew old, and the sands of time began to slip through his fingers. The once restless warrior turned his eyes inward, toward eternity. He commissioned a grand tomb in the Valley of the Kings, hidden among the cliffs of Thebes. In the dim light of flickering torches, the finest artisans of Egypt painted scenes of the Pharaoh's journey through the underworld. The 12 hours of night, the boat of Ra sailing through the realm of the dead, and Thutmose's soul joining the gods in their eternal voyage. His sarcophagus was crafted of stone and gold. His body was wrapped in linen, anointed with sacred oils, and protected by amulets of power. As the priests recited the ancient words, the air filled with the scent of incense and myrrh. When all was ready, the great stone doors of the tomb were drawn shut. The torches were extinguished one by one. The last light disappeared into the darkness. The priest placed the royal seal upon the door, and the silence of the desert swallowed the tomb. Thutmose III, the warrior pharaoh, the conqueror of nations, began his journey through the afterlife. Centuries turned to millennia. The sands buried his temples, his palaces, and his name. But the gods never forget.